All right, we are live right now. Welcome back to Lucid Trading. Make sure you hit that like button. Also, this is the Patreon and YouTube exclusive live stream. So, very excited about this. This is the second one that we have done so far the past 3 weeks. We're going to try to do this consistently. I hope everybody has access to the live stream. And if you are not able to access the live chat, then you can hover over the video. There should be a YouTube icon in the right bottom part of the screen where you can join the live stream and actually have access to the live chat. So make sure you do that so you can ask me some questions. And yeah, let's begin. Let's make everybody... Let's let everybody know we're live. Haven't actually posted that on Discord yet. Live right now on for the Patreon and YouTube membership exclusive. Hop on to Patreon / check your inbox. All right. The Lone Wolf here saying, nice stream. Paulina says, hi, Gara. Welcome, guys. I think people are going to hop on because we just posted on Discord. I forgot to post that. It's kind of embarrassing. I look sort of angelic on the video. Let me just also edit that very briefly. I think that should be better. Overall thoughts for next week. Well, my overall thoughts for next week, it's a bit mixed up, right? Because I do think that the S&P, both the S&P and the Dow Jones, are getting quite extended. Although it could get a little bit more extended, but I'm expecting a pullback on both of these. Now, why am I expecting a pullback on both of these? Well, you can basically see how the price has been running kind of parabolic here for the Dow Jones. For the S&P, it's a bit more modest, but still, I would say we're getting in extended territory. So, so we're talking about the value stocks, recovery stocks, the financials, energy stocks. These have been doing very good the past quarter, and they have been doing good the past week. The reason, that those stocks are going up is because people are buying them in before the CPI report, which is going to be the 12th of May, which is, I believe, going to be Tuesday. Oh, Wednesday, sorry. It's going to be Wednesday. So Wednesday, we're going to know what inflation was looking like for the past month. So for the month of April. And... yeah, so people were buying in, and simultaneously what we saw happening was that the Russell was selling off. We saw that the NASDAQ was selling off prior to that. So I think we're going to see a shift. We're going to see capital flow right back into tech and growth as we see valuations for value stocks go up through the roof. So that's kind of my outlook right now. We're going to look at the technicals right now to actually, precisely see what's going to happen. At least in terms of momentum. But the shift towards tech and growth seems to be inevitable. So overall, I do think it's going to be a rather green week. I don't think there's going to be a lot of worrying. At least not as much as we have seen previously, for example, in February and in March. That was quite a horrendous time period. I'm just going to briefly double check if the live stream is actually working. Yeah, it is working. So everybody has access to that right now. At least for the Patreons and the YouTube membership people. Right. I'm going to double check, triple check. It is working. Okay, fantastic. Where do you think? So my overall thoughts, I think this week, the coming week, for growth and tech, it's going to be a good week. We're going to see all green for growth and tech. No huge sell-offs. If the CPI report is really bad, I think there's a tiny chance that that's going to happen. If it were to be really bad, then yes, that would have a bad impact. So Wednesday is going to be that point where like it either extends to the upside because it's not going to be as bad, or we see it massively go down. It's a bit of a coin flip, but I would say it's very much skewed to the upside. So I don't think it's going to be as bad as people are thinking, given how the Fed and how just how the Fed in general has been reacting. I don't think it's going to be as bad. So we would probably see growth in tech do actually quite good, given the recent valuations on some of these growth names, like PLTR hitting a low that we have not seen since November, and AI is down, Snowflake still down. It's getting quite ridiculous, I would say. It could get worse, if the CPI data indicates that inflation is exceeding expectations, but I don't think we're going to see that, given that yields, last time we looked, were sitting quite flat. If yields were to skyrocket, things would change, but so far, no indication of that happening, at least not yet. But as we see yields either go down or up throughout the week, that's going to give us more of an indication of what's going to come. My expectation is it's going to remain flat. It's going to be range bound, pretty much like that in that zone. So overall green week for growth and tech stocks. It's not going to be like how do you say this? Like, we're not going to see like huge amounts of positivity. It's going to be a green week. At least that's what I'm forecasting right now. Next, if the coming week were to be green, then I would say it's going to get better over time as we go into the middle of May, towards the end of May. I think we've seen the worst of it. What could also happen, theoretically speaking, what we could see happen is we're going to see it sell off right until the catalyst, and then we see a huge purchasing pressure, because it's not going to be buy the rumor, sell the news. It's going to be the opposite. Sell the rumor, buy the news. So people are selling on inflation fears, and then they're going to buy on the news itself when people realize, okay, inflation is not that bad, right? But that's going to be what's probably going to be happening, given that the media is also fear mongering, right? We're seeing the media outlets fear mongering, like, okay, tech and growth, they're not going to return, it's going to stay like this. This is the .com, etc., etc. Meanwhile, the Federal Reserve is printing like endless amounts of money into the system, which should prevent an overall crash in the markets. So I don't have any doubt that the stocks will be recovering quite steadily. Right, next point was from Paulina. Where do you think Tesla's heading? Right, I think Tesla is looking very interesting. We all know that Elon recently was on Saturday Night Live. I had a look at that, watched it live. Was quite entertaining. I think that should have a positive media it's going to be a positive effect for Tesla. It gives it more publicity because Elon Musk, obviously, when people think about Elon, they think about Tesla. When people think about Tesla, they think about Elon. So that's going to be a positive headwind. So we're very close to this trend line now. We're getting incredibly close. You can see it out on the daily chart. Currently on the MACD, I would say we could see it bottom out. This could have been the bottom for Tesla at around 650. And given that we already know about Tesla that the quarterly deliveries is going to be great because they've sold out for the quarter, they're going to have a massive backlog for Q3. And any production ramp will be rewarded massively. Like, we're going to see this quarter is going to be record deliveries, record earnings. We already know that. So that is good news. given that the stock price is still sitting like 25% below the all-time high, which in my opinion, that's an indication like, hey, this is probably going to be the bottom. So if I take a look at it right now from a perspective of, from that perspective, RSI, we've seen it several times bottom out at that zone. I want to just highlight that. There you go. Here it bottomed out at the same level, there you go. So we've got several levels recently where we saw it bottom out on the RSI. So it would make perfect sense for Tesla to be bottoming out right here. Bottomed out at the same RSI level. Right here it did. Right there it did. So it wouldn't be surprising if that were to be a bottom. Which would mean that Tesla would see a lot of green the coming days. What is a bit surprising is that we did not see Cathie Wood's fund, I think it was ARK Invest, buy into Tesla at these cheaper prices. It was quite surprising. So a little weird. You'd expect ARK would invest in Tesla at these cheaper prices, given how bullish they have been on Tesla, historically speaking. Okay. So what I'm currently thinking is, I've also shared this on previous live streams, but I'm going to just highlight it again. I think what we're sort of seeing here is we're seeing downwards pressure because of, we had some negative press. We're about to see a reversal happen there because positivity is kicking in. You know, the SNL thing is going to do wonders, I would say. We've got the Cybertruck sold out, or well, lots of pre-orders. We've got a boatload of positivity coming in now, positive press, which we could see a reversal back to the upside. Now, where would it return? If I would to just grab this trend line. Oh, there you go. Okay, it's not copying it. That's no problem. We'll just create a new one. There we go. If we were just be modest with the trend line, let's use that one. These recent tops are going to be helpful for us. And we would extend this into the future. And assuming that the short-term momentum is not going to change quite a bit, I'm going to be even more conservative. I'm going to say, hey, it will drop back to 650 again, right? Let's say it's going to, for some odd reason, drops back to 650 again. Let's say it drops back to 650, bottoms out here, which would make perfect sense on the daily chart, on the week, on every chart. It would make perfect sense for it to drop right there, and then we would see a bullish reversal, and we would see it rally back upwards into June. Now, this would happen when we would see the CPI report, especially when people realize that inflation is not as bad as people think, because a lot of people think that people will be spending tons of money, which I think that will be the case. I just don't think it's going to be as bad, because a lot of people are actually saving up money because they're still afraid. They're still afraid. We're still in uncertain times. We're in a pandemic. The job report that we recently had reflected this quite a bit. So I'm just going to kind of draw where I think it's going to head upwards to. What we're going to see, it's going to rally back up to this $715 level. Why $715? It hit this level here, right there, several times in this area, and it seems to have a very hard time pushing through that level. So initial target would be 715. Of course, after that, I mean, it's either going to just break through and go to the 800s, or it will initially fall back down to a level that it generally falls back down to, which is going to be the 690, 680 range. It could very well go up through that level if we see more fundamental catalysts come in, because it could very well be possible that 2 weeks from now either Tesla announces something or Elon announces something, and that would push up the price higher. Now, for now, I'm going to be modest. I'm going to say 715, 720. That's my target, which would be a roughly 8% increase, about 8% increase in Tesla stock, if I would calculate it from the current level. If it were to bottom out at 645, that would be 10.6% to 11% in that range. Before we would see some weakness. If we would not see weakness, let's say we don't care about it, briefly going down, it's going to go down like 2-3%, and then it's going to continue its rally. I think the level that we would see is all the way back up to the 750s to about 780s. That's kind of what I'm expecting here. So while everybody's fearful around Tesla, like, oh my gosh, full self-driving, what's Elon doing right now with Doge and everything, that fear, that irrational fear, that's just an opportunity to get very, very cheap prices in Tesla stock. Historically, the past year, it's been holding this trend line. I don't think it's going to go below the trend line. If it were to do so, the whole market would be going down, which I really don't think is going to be the case here, given that the Fed is really supportive, and will not stop printing money or tapering down on the MBS purchases. Okay, so we are coming in here. Let me just welcome everybody. Welcome to Rainsy, Paulina, the Lone Wolf, Alan, Jasper. The Lone Wolf said, thoughts on Virgin Galactic and Palantir. And Alan said, do you think Palantir is heading for a fall, Gara? It's quite funny that you're saying that right now, Alan, because I do understand your fear, but that fall has been happening. It's been like this. You have to kind of realize how much Palantir's been falling recently. We've seen it fall more than 20%. So generally speaking, when a stock has already gone down almost 50% and it goes down another 20%, it's not going to fall further unless there's some good reasons behind that falling. What we do know about Palantir is that Palantir is going to have earnings Tuesday. It's going to be, I think it's going to be in the morning. I think it's going to be before the market opens up. We'll see that happen. If they report profits, I would expect Palantir to just shoot up instantly, 30 to 40%. I'm not kidding. Like, that could happen. We've seen it happen. But let's say that they don't report profits. I still think that at the current price of 19.8, it's not going to hold it up. It's going to shoot up above the 20. It's going to stay above 20 unless the market is really selling off, but I don't see that happening either. So yeah, I see it actually jump. Earnings is going to be good. It's projected to be very good given the contracts that they recently have had, and their new recent investments should do them well too. So Palantir to the moon. Technicals are looking quite nice. It seems like we're gonna see the 4-hour cross. RSI still oversold. Any kind of slight positivity is going to cause the stock to jump right now. The price pattern does look like what we have seen recently, which does indicate that we're going to see a jump in Palantir shares. We've seen it right there. So it's only a matter of time. I think we're not going to be able to buy Palantir at this price when the market opens up. Unfortunately, I do think that was the last opportunity. If it were to drop, I think it's going to be a bargain. But yeah, that's my opinion. That's just my opinion. It's not financial advice. Palantir definitely looking quite nice. I'm going to keep saying that because I think there's a lot of panic selling going on, especially around the hedge funds who are not willing to take risks anymore. Daily chart, we've seen a recent MACD cross a couple days ago, which generally speaking doesn't bode that well. We've had that before. Last time it happened, we all know what happened there. It doesn't necessarily have to be as bad as what we have seen here because the circumstances now are different. If we were to just draw a beautiful trend line there, and let's assume that this has been our bearish channel for the meantime, then we can clearly see that we're at the bottom level of this bearish channel. Volume has been picking up, which is a good thing, although it's been selling pressure because we do know now that institutions have been selling recently, selling into earnings. And it's not been Palantir, it's also been other growth names like AI stock, Snowflake stock. Snowflake got below 200 for a moment. But yeah, Palantir, I think if anything, it does look like we're going to bottom out. Worst case scenario, I might see it at that $18 range. I just really don't see that happen, given that the market conditions are boding quite well for tech and growth. So yeah, Palantir, next level I'm going to look at on Palantir, at least, if they don't report profit and they show steady growth, good growth, I think we are going to probably see it go back to 23, maybe 24, all the way back up just like that. I don't want to make any precarious predictions because we're still waiting for the CPI report to come out, which is going to be out on, when was it going to be? On Wednesday. Yeah, so on Wednesday, we'll really know what's going to happen. I think this is probably going to be the move for Palantir, going back to the upper range, 23, 24. Realistically speaking, right? This seems to be the case. If they kill it, if earnings is going to be super profitable, expect it to just annihilate. The price is just going to shoot up like that. So that would make perfect sense, given that it would be such an anomaly. Nobody's really expecting it, in all honesty. So yeah, Palantir looking quite interesting. I bought some Palantir recently. Friday I bought some, so before the weekend, because I thought it was getting really cheap. And yeah, well, with earnings around the block, with the stock price cheap, and I would say an environment that is proving or improving steadily, it's looking quite promising. Now for Virgin Galactic, yeah, it's been going below my support, but then again, the market's been going down, and we've seen that support being held up previously. It actually breached below that. The reason it went down is because, of course, like Palantir, like other growth names, they went down because Janet Yellen and the Fed, well, not necessarily the Fed, but like a spokesperson for the Fed, had, they had some recent talks about tapering and rates, which kind of caused some fear to be kicked in around the hedge funds, which is the reason why these stocks have been going down. Virgin Galactic is looking quite good on the weekly chart. Does look like we've seen a lot of selling pressure, but like we've seen the brunt of it. We've seen the worst of it. It went from 60 all the way to 25. We had a massive jump there, and it's been bearish until now. For good reasons, because we've had no catalysts for Virgin Galactic. They're burning a lot of money. They don't have revenue. So this is a kind of stock that really does move on catalysts, and we need a good environment. Because if we have an environment where interest rates are going up, people will not invest into these names, which has been the case the past weeks. I would say in the past months. Now we're reaching levels where I would say it's getting quite cheap, $19.6 right now. It had reached 18.7 at some point. If I would just take a look right here, if I would had a trend line here, it would have, looks like it's bottoming out. Earnings is going to be the 10th of May, it says right there. They've been shifting that back and forth, so basically means tomorrow. It could be a positive catalyst if they actually talk about their test flights and everything. So forward-looking statements, we're going to have to look out for that. It's going to be a bit of a coin flip, but I do think it's going to be skewed to the upside once again, given the price being as low as it is, and the fact that it's now holding up a particular trend line. I think Virgin Galactic is going to take off regardless, unless there's one situation where, okay, there's a couple actually. If they really push back the test flight, Like if they delay it again, well, of course you're going to see it go back down to 17, maybe even 15. That would be very bearish. Or if the CPI report would be horrendously bad. So those are two circumstances where I would say, I mean, if both happens, well, that's just unfortunate. I don't see both happening. They've already delayed the test flight. I don't think they're going to do that again. In terms of the CPI report, I think it's going to be bad, but I don't think it's going to be that terrible. All right, so yeah, that's just my thoughts on Virgin Galactic. It's going to probably go back to 24. We'll see some resistance there. Next level will be 26.5. Around the test flight, it's going to probably go back up parabolically. So anything in this range is going to be possible around the $30. It's a possibility, right? If the test flight is successful, we have some good forward-looking guidance, and the environment is good. Let's say growth and tech pick up again during the months of June and July. Well, of course, we'll see the upper 30s, maybe even the 40s. But for now, I'm just going to focus on the short term, 24, 26. That's my range that I'm trying to get it at, and we're probably going to see it back in that range, which would be a 20 to about 30% increase in share price in roughly 2 to 3 weeks, which is very well possible with a name like Virgin Galactic. All right, so we've got some other questions here. Jasper says, good evening. Good evening indeed. Do you think Palantir is heading for a fall? I already had that one. Gara, thoughts on ARC from Pedro Brito. Castudis says, what is your prediction on NEO? Varsha says, please give your analysis on GILT and CCIV. And Leonel is here. All right, so let me see. Briefly going to check out. A lot of people are not can't have access to the stream comment section, apparently. Oh my gosh, it's like storming outside. It's hilarious. Right when I stream. I'm just gonna quickly share a link to people in the. Check the Patreon only chat if you wanna join the live stream. Okay, that should help. All right, where were we? Thoughts on ARC from Pedro. Okay. Yeah, ARC. I think ARC is also going to see a massive reversal. I'm telling you, like, I'm surprised. I am very, very surprised that ARC has not recovered back to 140s. This is insane. Like, I think ARC is going to see a gradual rally upwards, back to the 150s. This daily chart right now, what I'm seeing here, to me, the fact that it's holding up this zone around the 108, I think ARC is ready to fly back up to 140 by July, end of July. I'm really going to look at that. 138, 140, probably the 143. So I'm very bullish on that. Weekly chart in terms of like momentum, I've actually looked into the fundamentals. I've been looking at the market in general, so I'm applying that as I'm looking at the technicals. Weekly chart does look like it's about to bottom out, or it has already bottomed out. I don't think we're going to see it go down much further. I would be incredibly surprised if ARC would go down much further, actually, given the quality of their stock picking. Could you send out the link for the Patreon stream on Discord like you did just now? Wait, what? One sec. It's a little confusing. Yeah, the Patreon doesn't allow the comments section. What you have to do is you have to click the YouTube icon, which is right in the right bottom corner, and it will get you to the YouTube page. And there you have the comment section. It's because Patreon and YouTube don't have that kind of a partnership. I wish they had, but I hope it's not too much of a hassle. Okay, let's continue. So ARK Invest. What I'm seeing here is we're having a triple bottom. You know, that's quite special, I would say. First bottom, second bottom, third bottom. I think it's retesting it. RSI has hit lower levels than we have seen here. Although, yeah, it's just consolidating around this range between 130 and 108 or 106 if we're going to be really 105, 106. Now that used to be a recent high. This was in November. So we're using resistance. Past resistance is now becoming support, which in my book, that's a bullish signal. RSI very low. MACD is crossing downwards, but I think it could bottom out at any given moment here. Either bottom out. It's probably going to consolidate and then head back up. The same thing that happened right there. We'll consolidate very briefly and then head back up. So if we take a look at the 4 hours, looks a little bit similar to the NASDAQ, where the 4 hours is about to be breaching the MACD here, or the MACD is going to breach. RSI very low as well. I think we could see a steady increase in price all the way back to 125, 126. There will be a lot of resistance at 128. I think everybody can see that. So this would be in a couple days' time. I think that would be a little too optimistic, of course. But let's just assume that we could see that happen in roughly, let's say by the end of the week. Does that make sense? Like I'm willing to bet it's going to sit at like 125, 127 by the end of the week. And it's going to see resistance again. We'll see if it's going to actually pass through. So that's going to be the ceiling. If it breaks through that ceiling, we're going to see the 143. Oh, let me just grab my bottle. Okay, so yeah, I don't necessarily know what's going to happen. What's going to happen after that? If it really does break through, I do think 143 is going to be reachable. Yeah, so something like this wouldn't be too unreasonable. Which would mean by the end of May, it would have recovered all the way back up to that gap right there, 143. This is kind of what I'm looking at right now for ARK. But I don't think we're going to see the all-time highs being hit. I think it's still going to be moving sideways for quite some time. So probably, if it were to move up, it would look something like this. Because I don't necessarily think growth and tech are going to exceedingly uptrend. At least not in the coming months. Maybe at the end of the year, if the markets are still bullish, we could see ARK Invest actually in the upper 100s, like 180, 190. Well, that would be my 2 cents on ARK right now. It's going to be in recovery mode, if anything. Kathy Wood said it herself. She said that we're basically seeing we're seeing capital now also going back to the stocks that had fallen during COVID, and as these stocks rise back up, we'll also see growth in tech go back up, which I do believe is going to be the case. Momentum does seem like it's indicating that, because we're not seeing a significant we're seeing significant crashes, but with the growth names that do have earnings and that do have revenue and have growth, actual growth, they're not crashing all that bad. It's a lot better than what people were expecting. Let's just put it that way. So it's only a matter of time. And with a matter of time, I mean like within this year, there will be a shift. Like, okay, value stocks are sitting pretty high now. Growth and tech are still sitting relatively low. They're going to shift it back to those stocks. All right. I'm just going to cover Neo, CCIV, and GILT. And I think that'll be it for now. Neo's moving in an interesting fashion. Did I just move some? Okay, cool. Yeah, so what did we say with Neo recently on the stream? This is amazing support. Very, very good support. This has been the trend to the upside. So this is an actual uptrend. We're seeing an actual uptrend right now in Neo. Even after it fell from 43 to the 35, 36 area. There's a short-term bear trend, of course, in the longer-term bull trend. So it's going to be all good. As long as they don't get delisted, it's going to be all good. I expect Neo to be reaching higher levels. It's fairly simple. When the MACD crosses and RSI is heading up, you're going to see upside. And I think Tesla's going to, lead the way for the EV stocks out there. That happens. Yeah, so gradually head back up to the 40s, 42s. It's going to be kind of boring. It would be just as you would expect. They had great earnings, great revenue, great everything. It's just the market sentiment has been very negative. So I would pretty much, a week from now, it's going to be sitting around 40, 42. Swing all the way back. Long term, extremely bullish on Neo. I think at the end of this year, I've pointed this out previously, it could be sitting at like $70 to $80 by the end of the third quarter. So that's my. I've got high expectations for Neo. I really do think it's going to double, given how they've been performing so far. Yeah. Only thing that could be in the way is the delisting and the CPI reports maybe being crazy. So we'll have to look into that. So far, it's been consolidating very nicely. Very, very healthy, incredibly healthy movement. So nothing too crazy to the downside. It's been consolidating. This is going to be incredibly strong support in the future too. So if it were to ever crash down there. So that would be my 2 cents on Neo. GILT. I think I've already covered that one. To the moon. Yeah, well, daily chart. I've been incredibly bullish on this. This was right before Janet Yellen spoke, so I can't really rely on that. What happened with earnings? Annual market cap. Oh, it's a relatively small market cap. Not that. It's a bit A bit hard to predict with the smaller market caps, given the, well, I don't have a lot of technicals to go off of. I don't think I can count this in. It's mostly the recent information that is usable. Huge pump, massive dump, dumps all the way through. And this is where the smart money gets in, probably, if we see a future with this company, fundamentally speaking, because the stock price is consolidating very nicely in an environment which is about to be shifting back to growth and tech. There's still a gap at the 7.6. I don't think it's going to reach that, though. It's a little bit out of reach for that. I'm going to be just a little bit skeptical here. Don't know the company, fundamentally speaking, but their earnings... I mean, they have revenue. I'm already glad that a company has revenue, because in this day and age, there are so many companies out there without revenue. I mean, I would love to see it jump back to 11.5, which, given the MACD, given technicals, back to that level, 11.5. I'm going to be a bit optimistic, but that's where I think it's going to go, which would be that would be a good 10%, 10-15% upside for the week. It would be a possibility there, no doubt. But keep in mind, it's a small cap. It's a very small cap. They do have revenue. I personally don't know much about the fundamentals, but looking at momentum, this could be a likely scenario for it to just rally upwards like that. In fact, we've seen that happen previously until earnings. Sold off on earnings. Usually that happens. Sells off on earnings and then keeps on rallying if it has strong fundamentals. So, yeah, no doubt. This would be the trend for the coming week. Although, if I'm going to be real with you, generally speaking, you see a MACD cross before you actually see a significant rally. We did see one recently, so let's be a little bit optimistic. 11.5 to maybe 11.8 on Gillette satellite networks. No doubt, will be good. Did we cover everything we want to... CCIV. Oh, well, CCIV, I mean... I want to be bullish on this, but the problem is they're delaying the merger. The merger was the beginning of June, now it's the end of June, now it's September. I'm gonna start to be a bit more bearish on this, at least short term. I don't think the stock price is going to go anywhere short term. It seems like the 1 hour is not really looking bullish. 4 hour does look like it's going to breach short term. In the extreme short term, like a couple of days, it's going to probably jump up back to 22 maybe. A 10% increase. But still, I do think it's going to just run flat. It's going to be trading within a range, you know. I've said this before. It's trading within a range. It's going to stay in that range unless we see significant bullish activity, which we're still waiting for the merger, and it's still quite far away. If it's going to be in September, that's going to be like 4 months from now. That's way too long. If somebody could correct me if I'm wrong on that, that'd be nice. All right. Briefly checking what's happening here. Right. Guys, I think we're going to call it a day with the exclusive Patreon YouTube membership live stream. We've done roughly, I think, 45 minutes, a little bit over that, which is quite nice. We'll be doing that consistently every single week. You can ask me which stocks I should cover, and we'll cover that on the actual live stream. So yeah, I'll actually be live in a moment for everybody out there, so you can join that. And we're just gonna cover stocks in general and see what's happening there. But yeah, this is meant to be sort of like almost like an Ask Me Anything, just Just ask me anything, I'll answer. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll be doing it more often. Thank you for your support. I'll see you at the live stream, which is going to be in a couple minutes, where I'll be live for everybody out there. So see you at that live stream.